All right, before we start, welcome back to the channel. If you're someone who's trying to fix your metabolism, lose fat, or you're currently doing keto and wondering if you're actually doing it right, then this video might be one of the most important ones you watch, because what I'm about to show you could completely change how you look at keto. You've probably seen the headlines by now. Keto destroys your metabolism. Keto shuts down insulin. Keto causes fatty liver. And if you're someone doing keto right now, this should honestly scare you, because a new long-term study just came out. And at first glance, it looks bad, really bad. We're talking about severe cholesterol problems, liver damage, and even something that sounds terrifying, a complete collapse of insulin secretion. Yeah, the very hormone your body needs to survive. So the real question is keto actually dangerous long-term? Or is there something about this study that nobody is telling you? And real quick, if you actually want simple no-BS breakdowns like this that help you understand your body and not just follow trends, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because most people are getting this completely wrong. Because once you understand what they actually did, everything flips. And more importantly, it might completely change how you should be doing keto starting today. Now, before we go deeper, I need you to pay attention to this one detail, because this is where everything starts to break apart. This wasn't a normal keto diet, not even close. In this study, the keto group was eating almost 90% fat, about 10% protein, and basically zero carbs. It's like 0.1%. Think about that for a second. That's not steak and vegetables. That's not eggs and avocado. That's basically like drinking oil all day, every day, for years. Now imagine doing that with almost no protein and no carbs, no cycling, no breaks, for what equals years in human time. Already you can probably feel something's off. But let's not jump to conclusions yet, because when researchers looked at the results, things got very interesting. At first, keto actually worked. Within the first few weeks, blood sugar dropped, glucose levels improved, everything looked great, exactly what we expect from keto. But then, something strange started happening. As time went on, glucose levels started creeping back up, glucose tolerance got worse, and eventually, it performed even worse than a high-fat diet with carbs. That makes no sense, right? Keto is supposed to improve metabolic health, not destroy it. So what went wrong? Here's where it gets even crazier. The problem wasn't insulin resistance. Let me repeat that. These subjects were still insulin sensitive. The issue was, their bodies stopped producing insulin properly. When glucose entered the system, insulin barely responded. Imagine eating carbs, and your body just doesn't react. No proper insulin spike, no glucose control, just sugar sitting in your bloodstream. That's not just bad, that's dangerous. Now pause for a second, because right here, most people panic and say, keto shuts down your pancreas. But that's not the full story. Because when scientists dug deeper, they found something fascinating. This wasn't permanent damage, it was adaptation. Your body, being extremely efficient, simply said, we never use glucose anymore. So why maintain the machinery to handle it? So it started shutting down that system, not because it was broken, but because it wasn't needed. And this is where things get even more important, because when they reintroduced a normal diet, everything came back. Insulin response returned. Glucose tolerance normalized. The system wasn't destroyed, it was just, switched off. Now, let's talk about the part that really scared people, the cholesterol and fat buildup. Because this is what triggered all the anti-keto headlines. Triglycerides skyrocketed. Fats started accumulating in the liver, especially in males. And it looked like a complete metabolic disaster. But again, context matters. Because what was happening wasn't typical fat gain. It was what you could call a metabolic traffic jam. Think about it like this. You're pouring massive amounts of fat into the body, but insulin is almost non-existent. And insulin is actually needed to help manage and store nutrients properly. So now, fat has nowhere to go. It just starts piling up. In the bloodstream, in the liver, not because keto is bad, but because the system is completely out of balance. Now imagine this scenario in real life. You're doing keto, but instead of balanced meals, you're just loading butter, oils, processed fats, barely eating protein, avoiding all carbs completely, and staying like that for years. No cycling, no variation. Now suddenly, this study doesn't sound so unrealistic anymore, does it? And this is the exact mistake most people make. They don't fail keto because keto doesn't work. They fail because they turn keto into an extreme, one-dimensional diet. And that's where things start to break. So now the real question becomes, how do you use keto the right way? without running into these problems, because when done correctly, keto is one of the most powerful metabolic tools we have. Fat loss improves, blood sugar stabilizes, energy becomes consistent, and in many cases, people even reverse type 2 diabetes, but only if you do it right. First, protein. This study used only about 10% protein. That's extremely low. Your body needs protein not just for muscle, but for metabolic signaling, hormone function, recovery. If protein is too low, everything starts to slow down. A much better approach. At least 25 to 30% of your calories from protein. This alone changes everything. Second, carbs. Going to absolute zero carbs for years? That's not necessary. And clearly, it can backfire. Instead, a small amount of carbs, even 20 to 50 grams per day, can actually help maintain metabolic flexibility. Things like leafy greens, fiber, seeds don't kick you out of ketosis significantly, but they prevent your system from becoming too rigid. Third, fat quality. Not all fats are equal. If your keto diet is just saturated fat overload, butter, oils, processed fats, you're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. Your body thrives on a mix. Healthy fats from fish, olive oil, avocados, nuts alongside saturated fats. Not replacing everything with them. Now here's the part that most people ignore, and it might be the most important. You should not stay in strict keto forever. Yeah, I said it. Your body is designed for flexibility, not to run on one fuel source all the time. That's why strategic carb reintroduction, even short phases, can actually make you stronger metabolically. Think about it like training your system, instead of limiting it. And this connects to something very powerful, because metabolism isn't just about food, it's also about your nervous system, your stress levels, your hormones. And this is where something unexpected comes in. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed the more stressed you are, the worse your diet becomes? Cravings increase, fat loss slows down, sleep gets worse, everything starts working against you? That's not random, that's cortisol. And this is where a simple compound becomes incredibly interesting. Glycine. Now on the surface, glycine looks basic. Just another amino acid. But what it does is surprisingly powerful. Imagine being in a stressful situation, an argument, pressure, anxiety, and instead of reacting instantly, you feel calm. Not numb, not disconnected, just in control. That's what glycine seems to do. It works directly on the nervous system, helping reduce the stress response, lowering cortisol, and allowing your body to shift out of fight or flight mode. And when that happens, everything improves. Sleep gets deeper. Recovery improves. Fat storage decreases. Your mind becomes clearer. Now here's where it gets practical. Most people use glycine at night, about 3 grams before bed. And yes, it works incredibly well for sleep. But what's interesting is what happens when you use a small amount during the day. Even just 1 gram in the morning can create a subtle sense of calm focus. You're still alert, but not reactive. And this is something most people are missing. True metabolic health isn't just about food, it's about how your body responds to stress. Because you can have the perfect diet, but if your body is constantly in fight, you're working against yourself. So when you combine everything we talked about, balanced keto, adequate protein, smart carbs, healthy fats, and a calm nervous system, now you're not just dieting, you're optimizing your entire metabolism. And this is the real takeaway. Keto isn't dangerous. Bad keto is extreme keto is imbalanced. Keto is, if you made it this far, you already understand more than 95% of people watching keto content online. So do this. Hit that subscribe button, because this is the kind of content that actually helps you understand what's going on inside your body, not just follow random rules. And if you want to take this further, start paying attention to how your body responds, not just what you eat, because that's where real transformation happens. I'll see you in the next one.